What is up, YouTube? Today we are on the eve of one of the greatest announcements in gaming history, Path of Exile 3.21. So I decided to have a little bit something special in order to commemorate this wondrous occasion. And I'm also going to go over the top 5 quality of life changes that I hope that PoE will add, whether it is in PoE 2 or maybe even tomorrow, right? Because on March 27th, GGG announced there's going to be several small quality of life improvements coming in Path of Exile Crucible. One such improvement is to increase the stack sizes of some currency items, including Chaos Orbs. So let's go over exactly what changes they've announced so far and what we're going to actually hope for in the future if GGG is so kind to bless us with all of these amazing improvements. So first off, GGG said that Chaos stack size is going to be 20 now, so we can assume that Alchemy Orbs is probably going to be 22. And there's going to be some other currency that's going to have larger stack sizes. They showed us oil anointments now. You can know what oils you actually need. So when we go over here, say we go into our tree, we look at a node right now, say this node Sentinel, we don't know what oils we have to use until we press Alt. So right now, instead of doing that, it will just show right away exactly what oils you will need and what type of oils these are. So if you look at it right this, you don't really know what they are. Now you'll know, oh, they're teal, crimson. There's a little bit of an improvement, kind of a small deal for some people, but it will definitely improve the beginner player experience. Next up, they also made it so that we can release beasts in the menagerie for free. Now, Bestiary or Bestiary is probably one of the oldest leagues in PoE history. It's very, very outdated. It has an outdated UI. In a lot of people's eyes, beasts should just be removed from the game. However, it does have a lot of the most powerful crafts in the game right now, especially with the new Vivid Vultures that allows you to make the craziest synthesis bases. So before, once you have enough beasts in your bestiary, you have to buy all of these bestiary orbs and you have to capture the beast and then you have to destroy the orb or something like that. I'm not really too sure. But now, from the UI in the menagerie, all we have to do is press this little X button and we will be able to release the beast. Now, some people are kind of afraid that they might be a confirmation button, right? So if you press release, will they actually let you release the beast automatically? Or will they make you do like a lot of different stuff? So right now, I actually don't really have that many beasts, do I? So we have to capture beasts. And right now you can't release the beast, right? So in order to like release the beast, you have to like use the orb right here, the bestiary orb, and then you have to capture the beast, and then you'll be able to clear out your menagerie. I think the menagerie has a certain bestiary limit, which was really, really annoying in the past. So I'm glad that GGG is finally addressing one of their older leagues in the game. Now, these are the changes that we really hope for. I think these will be huge quality of life changes. However, most of these changes you'll see is probably going to be a pipe dream. Now, first off, we have Wisdom Scrolls and Portal Scrolls. A lot of people say that Wisdom Scrolls and Portal Scrolls are really, really outdated concepts. And in Diablo, you can just identify the item by right-clicking it. Or you can talk to Deckard Cain and identify all of the items in your inventory. Now, the only real purpose of Portal Scrolls and Wisdom Scrolls is to teach a beginner how to use currency on items, and it also has a little bit of a resource, especially if you do any sort of early game racing. You know you want to get ID scrolls to identify your items, and you can sell your items for alts. And Portal Scrolls and Wisdom Scrolls are kind of like the baseline of currency. It's the smallest form of currency in the game outside of scroll fragments, but they really do not really serve a huge purpose outside of the early game leveling and having that sort of resource. Because at the beginning, you kind of are looking forward to picking up some Portal Scrolls, to picking up some ID Scrolls, to ID items. But later on, once you finish the campaign, you will almost never have any use for Wisdom Scrolls and Portal Scrolls. Most people will take it off their filter completely, and they'll just pick up Orb of Transmutes or Blacksmith Whetstones or Armor Scraps and then sell it for Wisdom Scrolls. Now, something else that this could do is that maybe this would make people pick up more rare items to identify. if you can identify the items faster without so many clicks, if you could just go to a vendor and click on identify all or something like that, or have a hotkey to identify items. Now we could also have a dedicated town portal button. This is kind of similar to the portal gem. A lot of people don't like using the portal gem because there's a sort of cast time to it. However, I don't think it's going to be that bad if it's like Diablo, where you have a way to go to your town really fast for the press of a keybind. Now, another thing that I saw floated around was that could items actually drop identified? This is another thing that a lot of people have been asking for, but this would probably make it so that items would have to drop a lot less frequently on average, and the items would have to have better rolls on average, so smart loot as they call it. So maybe that's something that will appear in PoE too. Now, next up, we have incubator stash tabs. Now, this is something that if you ever do any sort of farming method, especially if you're into the Grimrow Legion farming stuff, if you have a dump tab and you dump all of your items into the dump tab with the stash tab affinities, most of the times you're going to be left with a tab with a billion incubators, and it just looks so ugly. It's just everything is all over the place. Now, having another stash tab for incubators would be a great way for GGG to generate more profit, and I'm really surprised they haven't actually added an incubator stash tab. There might be some technical limitation because, as you can see here, they actually have an item level requirement or item level of the incubator. So maybe some way of doing it is you would have to have a separate category, and it would be like a sort of map stash tab, and then you would have all of those incubators of that type with different item levels in that little subsection. So ideally, and how I would envision it, is if you went to the map stash tab. Oh my goodness, what is this? So if you went to the map stash tab, and this is like currency incubators, and these are all of the different type of currency incubators, and then you could also have the different item levels, and that would probably be the most elegant solution. A really, really easy way to do this is to add an incubator affinity. So you can just have an affinity for incubators, and then they would just all go over there. Right now, I don't think there's actually an incubator affinity. And oh my lord, I have a lot of tabs. So let's see, do we actually have a normal tab? It's not always. So here, so you can see right here, there's no affinity for incubators, and that's something they can add really easily. And I do hope that maybe this is one of the changes they're saving for tomorrow. Now, a lot of people don't really remember, but incubators used to not stack. So they kind of already addressed a little of the quality of life for the incubators, but I do hope that they add a little bit more to it. Now, next up, we have something that a lot of people probably really want, but GGG just can't find a way to do it. And this is a way to combine our premium stash tabs into a quad tab. So right now, you can see the quad tab is really, really useful. You can see more information at once. It's super, super beneficial. So a lot of people, when they first started off the game, like me, I have a bunch of regular stash tabs. And guess what? Regular stash tabs suck majorly. They are horrible compared to, what's it called, dump tabs or quad tabs. And I really wish I don't really use these stash tabs. Like, these stash tabs are all useless to me. I always use the big ones. The bigger the better, as they say, and that's definitely true in PoE. The bigger the better. So right now, all of these stash tabs, you can't convert it over to quad tabs. And if we actually look at the pricing of it, you can see right now a regular stash tab costs around 30 coins, and then a quad tab costs around 150. So if they let you maybe upgrade the difference, let's say, so if you pay 30 extra points in order to turn 4 stash tabs into a quad tab, that would be very, very good. And it would be very, very beneficial for a lot of people who have these extra tabs they want to convert over to quad tabs. Now, I do think that this could make it even more profitable in the future, because I do think there's a lot of people who want a quad tab, but they don't really want to fork out the 150 points for the quad tab. So it's very, very possible this might actually generate them more money in the future. Now, GGG has said the main reason why they refuse to do this is because, let's go see right here, right? So once you combine these stash tabs, what's going to happen to your standard tabs, right? So that's one of the biggest problems, is that all of these remove only tabs, they don't really know what's going to happen. They can't find a workaround for what's going to happen if they allow you to combine these tabs together. But in my eyes, all that would happen is that they would all just be in a quad tab. But if they're like different sizes or the item, I don't really know. But GGG has said in the past they've looked into it, but they can't really pull it off currently. Now, next up, I saw this thing in Reddit, and I do think it's a very, very useful quality of life feature, especially with the stack sizes changing. Now, there are a lot of morons who play PoE, myself included. I've been scammed so many times. A lot of times I'm just reading chat while streaming, and then someone puts some stuff in the window, and I don't really check. I just assume, oh, that's a lot of chaos. But then some people, they manipulate the chaos. They put 1 chaos instead of 10. And a lot of people get scammed that way, and that's a very, very common occurrence, and it's going to happen more often than ever. I think one of the best currency money-making methods in the early game this league is probably going to be doing these scams. Just kidding, of course. But as you can see here, this person's idea of the currency totals in trade is that you would have a little bit of a total at the side that tells you exactly how much of a certain item is there. So this one right here says 459 chaos. So this helps protect the buyer who is too lazy to count, or maybe just because it's too annoying to count, have an easier grasp of what they're actually trading. And I do think that this would be very, very beneficial, and it's going to be super useful for large amounts of currency. Now, next up, we have the biggest quality of life feature of them all, and this is one of the main reasons why people like play SSF over Trade League, is not having an auction house for a bulk item exchange. Now, a lot of people might say, oh, the bulk item exchange would make it so that you don't really feel the weight. You won't really have the same trading experience, and the game would be way too streamlined. And that's just not really what I agree with. I would say right now, most of my time in Trade League, when I do mapping in the late game, towards the tail end of the league, is literally spent buying items from the bulk item exchange, whether it's mapping supplies, exchanging currencies like Divines to Chaos, or is buying maps. Now, this is just a shit experience, to put it simply. A lot of times I have to whisper over like 20 people at once to have one person respond. And it just creates a self-fulfilling prophecy where people don't really respond to trades, and they just expect the person trying to buy the item to assume that someone else already bought it. And it's just a horrible, horrible system. It's very, very time efficient. It's very, very frustrating. And most importantly, it relies on an over-reliance on third-party discords or websites like TFT to facilitate some of these trades. And if you're trying to buy Deli Orbs, or you're trying to buy Scarabs, or you're trying to buy Essences, or you're trying to buy maps, or you're trying to buy fragment sets, a lot of times the best answer is it is a lot faster to go on this third-party Discord and do these trades, that we are pretty much being forced to use this horrible system of messaging people one by one to buy the items we need. And it's just really, really frustrating to deal with. And especially in a game like PoE that's probably going to grow to having over 1 billion concurrent players down the line, I do not see how the system can ever work in the long run. Now, we will still feel the weight of trading items, uniques, and jewels. And I do think that we will still preserve the idea of trading with someone and going to someone's hideout without the over-reliance on having to use it for every single item that we're going to be trading for. Now, overall, I do think that 3.21 is shaping up to be a great league, and hopefully GGG does include some of these quality of life improvements. I think these quality of life improvements would greatly change the game and make it feel a lot more enjoyable for both beginners and experienced people alike. Now, most of these suggestions I do know are pipe dream. Like, this is probably never going to happen right here. This they could add. This will probably never happen because of logistical nightmare. This I could definitely see them adding because, what's it called? It makes money for them. And this is probably never going to happen because they're too stubborn to fix it. And they're also and they don't really want to copy Diablo exactly. Now, we do have our first teaser unique of the cycle that I wanted to talk about really, really fast before we end the video. And this item is trash. Only thing I could see it being useful for is maybe some unaffected by shock shenanigans for like Malagaros or Shrink Belt. But overall, greatly looking forward to tomorrow. Hopefully 3.21 is going to be amazing, and a lot of the new players coming from Diablo 4 will enjoy PoE. But thanks for watching. Let me know what you think about these gloves and which quality of life improvements you would like to see implemented in 3.21. I hope you find more mirrors, divines, and mage bloods than me, and see you next time. Bye!